Hello and welcome once again to the Random Wrestling Review, our local to global series on TEW2020, the series that just keeps on going and shows no sign of stopping. Ultimately, you may already be able to tell from my voice that I still have issues, general issues, physical health issues, not necessarily psychological issues, although I'm sure some might disagree. And we are continuing on with our, as I said, our local to global rise so far. Let's look at our size. Let's review where we are in terms of our size. 11 popularity now in the Northwest, 3 in the Southwest, 2 in the Midwest, and 2 in the Mid-South. Hopefully we can continue to grow that as we go on. We are now, of course, doing 2 shows per month, and we are about to promote Something to Prove, which is our next show. And between last episode and this episode, I've come up with some ideas for what we're going to do this show and starting to move forward. And I'm finding, I know that I've said previously that I'm trying to not to plan too much. I'm still trying not to plan too much, but I am finding I'm needing to at least plan the next show on top of the one that I'm about to do as I go, because it matters. It actually matters quite a lot to what comes next. And also, in the unlikely event that we get to do 2 events in an episode, I need to kind of already have in place what I'm going to do for the next event. The first thing I'm going to do today is put in motion a heel turn for Shawn Stasiak. So I think he's been with us for 2 years, and he's been really good. Actually, he's been one of our top performers, most consistent performers, certainly. But we are at a point with him where it's difficult to know where else we go with his journey. And I feel like his upward motion has been stunted a couple of times. He's had a couple of title shots and lost each one. And I just feel like he'd be at the point in his kind of character where he would be getting frustrated with that continued disappointment. And so that's what we're very much going to play on here. Let's, without further ado, go to Something to Prove, though, and start to book the next show. So we're going to open this one with a match between ECMO and Kid Chaos. And this is really just to fill some time. Got nothing specific to worry about here. Going to make it 7 minutes, I think. We're going to give ECMO the win, unsurprisingly. We'll go for a pinfall finish, and we'll work the crowd. That's really all I want to do with this one. Nothing major. And this event actually is kind of us resetting a little bit after, the previous few months where a lot of stories. I mean, if you look at our storylines now, we're down to 2. So we're at that point where we need to start thinking about the future and opening up some new avenues for, for the promotion in terms of creatively. Next up, we're going to have the match between CM Punk and Shawn Stasiak. This is the beginning of Stasiak's heel turn, as we said. I think we're going to do 12 minutes here. CM Punk's going to win. He's going to get a tainted win when the referee... We'll make this the storytelling match as well, actually, where basically CM Punk grabs the tights of Shawn Stasiak, the referee misses it, and CM Punk gets the win. Then after the match, Shawn Stasiak is going to go on a bit of a rant about how the match was unfair and demands to face Punk again next month in our next show. Uh, CM Punk. We'll keep him on screen, I suppose. Make that 5 minutes. So yeah, this is just like a non-baby face thing for somebody to do, right? Is they lose a match and then they kind of... I always believe that the baby faces should care when they lose and even be angry when they lose, but to rant about it and rave about it and, to complain is not a babyface trait. And so this is kind of the beginning of Stasiak sort of showing his frustration, his general anger. I guess you could kind of compare it to Bret Hart in early '97. The sense that he's whining and complaining, and he's being unjustly. Things are happening that are unjust, but he is not handling it in the most babyface-ish of ways. We've only got 5 matches on this card, so the next one's going to be another singles match, and it's going to be Chemo versus Dave Bautista I'm very tempted to put this in the main event, because I think it will be the best match on the night. Um, we'll keep it to 10 minutes. You know what? I think I might have this go to a draw. No, I was always gonna have Batista win this, and I think I'm gonna do that anyway. The main reason I don't want it to go to a draw is because I don't really want it. I guess they could just have a 15-minute time limit draw and then walk away. Like they don't have to be involved. Again, let me be clear about what I'm thinking. My concern about making it a time limit draw or any kind of a draw really is that they need to, for some reason, I feel like that means they need to have a rematch or they need to be in some kind of longer term thing with one another. But I suppose they don't really, do they? They could go to a 15-minute time limit draw and that be the end of this. So I'm tempted to just do that and it be a little breadcrumb for the future where we'll have this slow build as well. They're going to go 15 minutes. Um, yeah, where they kind of they might meet again in the future, and this is something to look back on. Chemo is furious at the booking. This is the problem we've got with Chemo as well. Having him beaten or having him draw in this case is getting increasingly difficult because he's easily the most popular wrestler on the roster. Anyway, we're going to keep Chemo strong with that one, but Chemo and Dave Batista are actually going to draw in that match. There's no storyline going to come out of it, but I just felt like that might be quite a good breadcrumb for the future. Now, next up is going to be a number one contender tag team match. Is this one full? Yeah, number one contender tag team match. Four-way is going to see Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson against Dog and Rose, against Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan, against Buddy Wayne and Billy Kidman. So those are the four teams involved in this one. Make it 13 minutes. And the winner is going to be Charlie Haas, and he's going to pin Dog. So, yeah, the winners of this will get a tag team title shot, and the winners are going to be Red Alert, Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson. Yeah, that's where we're going with that one. We've missed a promo here that I was going to put in. So, Dave Batista, after the match, Batista says he accepts loss of the title, but thinks there's something fishy about the shadow and what will get. I can't go any further. Something fishy about the shadow. That's what we'll just leave it at that, and I'll talk about the rest of it when I run through the show. So that one needs to come down here. Then we're going to have the main event, which is going to be for the title, and it is going to be the Shadow versus Keith Hart. Keith Hart, obviously the number one contender because he's got the most wins. We'll look at the rankings in just a moment. And I don't want to make this a particularly long match. I think 11 minutes will do it. I wonder if we can make it I think if we made it a technical masterclass, it would A, not be long enough, and B, probably not right. So I think we'll just make it a regular match, pinfall finish, and a win for the Shadow, retaining his title. So even a match of this length, Pat Patterson recommends not doing. I wonder if 9 minutes will be better. It would. Will 10? I think 9 is usually okay. 10 minutes would be all right. So we'll make the main event 10 minutes. Shadow retains his Northwest title there. There was one other angle I wanted to do, which was Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan after the main event come out and attack Keith Hart, Bruce comes out to stop them. So Steele and Buchanan attack Keith Hart. Bruce Hart put a stop to it. Now, what that stop is going to be, I've been thinking about having it just be Bruce Hart come out and warn them that he'll suspend them or something. In fact, that's what I'll do. What I'm trying to do here stops it by threatening suspension. So actually, we'll have him be entertainment on this occasion. So that's gonna we're trying to have a feud here between where the Hart brothers are against Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan, because Ace Steel obviously is unhappy with the way things have happened for him. He's complained on the last show about the fact that the Hart brothers keep getting opportunities and they keep shortchanging him for his opportunities. That's when Bruce revealed that Keith was the number one contender for the title and would get a title shot. But also Bruce revealed that he was going to pull himself from the rankings. And that's a good time for us to look at the rankings. So this is how the rankings look now without Bruce Hart involved. Currently, Keith Hart is the number one contender, of course. Shadow the champion. C.W. Anderson is then underneath him with Buddy Wayne in fourth place. We've got Ekmo on 5 points, Charlie Haas on 5 points, Chemo on 4, CM Punk and Sean Stasiak each on 3, Barry Buchanan on 2, Billy Kidman, Dave Batista, Rose and Kid Chaos on 1, and then Ace Steel and Dog on 0, where given the results of the latest action, they will stay. So the only thing I'm going to potentially do is change or alter this stuff. So I guess this could continue to be who does this make sense to be more about from now on? I think it was the world title picture, right? So it should be Dave Batista and the Shadows storyline. So what we're going to do here is Dave Batista and the Shadow mystery. And we're going to then remove Keith. Or are we? He's about to have a match, isn't he, with them? I think we'll remove Bruce from it. And we'll remove Ace Steel. And we'll remove Barry Buchanan. And they will have their own story now, which is Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan versus the Hart brothers. We'll only put Bruce in for the moment because Keith can still be a part of the other story. I think what I'll do as well is I will add Sean Stasiak versus CM Punk because I feel like there is going to be a little bit of a story between those two, even though actually the wider story is the eventual heel turn of Sean Stasiak. I'm not exactly sure when we're going to pull the trigger on that though. So yeah, Sean Stasiak versus CM Punk, Dave Batista versus Shadow. Cool. So I think that's everything we need to do. Is just check the booking analysis. Everything is fine. Let's go ahead with something to prove, where 87 people are in attendance, and ECMO defeats Kid Chaos in the opener. In 7 minutes and 11 seconds by pinfall with a Samoan drop, a segment rating of 27. That is entirely down to ECMO, who had a 28 performance. Kid Chaos only an 18, and he was off his game. But that's fine as a start point. Then we have CM Punk versus Sean Stasiak in a really, really good match here. CM Punk wins in 12 minutes 11 seconds by pinfall with a handful of tights. Punk had an in-ring performance of 30, but Stasiak continues to be really good. 37 in this one, a segment rating of 37, and the first sort of suggestion that that Stasiak's going to be a heel begins. Although I'm not seeing the notes that say I will check. Can we go? Yeah, we can return to the booking screen here. I just want to check that I did, in fact, do what I needed to do with Stasiak. Yeah, he's preparing to turn. Okay, we're fine. So yeah, in that segment, which got a rating of 32, Stasiak goes on a rant about how the match was unfair. CM Punk had the tights, the referee missed it, and he demands they face CM Punk again next month, and he tells the RWR management, the Hart brothers, Bruce Hart in particular, to make it happen. So then Chemo faces Dave Batista in another excellent match. They went to a 15-minute time limit draw. This had fantastic heat and great wrestling. And yeah, Chemo had an in-ring performance of 48, Batista a 31, a segment rating of 40, one of the best matches in company history. And now I'm really regretting not having these two matches that have just happened in the two main event spots, because I cannot see what we've got in our main event spots going much further than this. But we'll see, I suppose. Now, after the match, after a little bit of a brief standoff between Batista and Chemo after the bell rang, Chemo walks away. Then Batista grabs a microphone and he says that he's taken a couple of weeks to think about things and reflect upon the fact that he lost the title about a month ago. And he says that he accepts the loss. He understands that sometimes the calls that are made by those in charge don't always go in your favor, and that on this occasion that luck just went against him. And he says that losing the title without actually being pinned or submitted just makes him more focused and more determined for the future. He then moves on to the Shadow and says that there's something fishy about the Shadow and he's not sure he likes the smell of it. And he says that he is going to get to the bottom of what it is that the Shadow is all about. So segment rating here 36, as Batista kind of opens the curtain on his pursuit of understanding the mystery behind the Shadow. Now, I just thought about this as well. This is quite a good contrast, I should say, to the Sean Stasiak promo earlier in the night, where he's ranting and raving about, a decision going against him. Batista's obviously taking a much more considered a considered perspective on it, and then kind of using it as inspiration to move forward, or motivation to move forward. Then the match, four-way dance for the new number one contender to the tag team titles, won by C.W. Anderson and Charlie Haas. Red Alert in 13-11 when Haas pinned Dog with a Total Hostility. Very nice name. Also involved in the match were Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan, Billy Kidman and Buddy Wayne. Segment rating of 33, so not bad. Actually, only Buddy Wayne had a rating that was commensurate with that. He had a 34. Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan a 32. Everyone else in the low 20s here, or in the mid 20s at least, around about 25 to 23. Charlie Haas and Ace Steel are off their game, and a couple of stories have progressed as a consequence of this. But mainly, most important thing is that Red Alert will take on the tag team champions in our next show. And then we move to the main event, which was another excellent match. The Shadow is fantastic at the moment. James Storm, take a bow. 10 minutes, 14 seconds. Shadow wins by pinfall and makes his first defense of the RWR Northwest title here. Segment rating of 41. The Shadow a 43 in-ring performance. Keith Hart only a 25, well below the quality of his opponent. And the Shadow is the winner. They have great chemistry as well, so that was really helpful to the overall rating of this match. And I think just in general, this has been an excellent wrestling show for us, possibly the best we've seen. And it ends with a sort of post-match angle where Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan come out and attack Keith Hart. Ace Steel, of course, still angry about the situation where he has, for the second year in a row, been put in a triple threat match when it comes to his own attempt at the RWR Northwest title. Barry Buchanan being Ace Steel's kind of buddy. Bruce Hart comes out, and rather than make the save for Keith Hart, Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan stop their attack on Keith Hart when Bruce Hart comes out, and Hart grabs a microphone and he tells Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan to leave his brother alone, otherwise he will suspend them indefinitely from the Random Wrestling Review. They back off, and Bruce Hart tells them that if they want to fight, then they need to do it in the proper way, mano a mano. And that's how the show ends. A segment rating of 31 here, as the feud between these two teams begins to heat up a little bit. And that is the end of a very good show. An overall rating of 39, which I'm absolutely certain is our very best rating so far. We had a great match between Punk and Stasiak, a great match between Chemo and Dave Batista, and a great match in the main event with the Shadow defeat Keith Hart. The best match of the night as well, that was. So, yeah, really, really, really pleased with that. All of that. So we're going to give Sean Stasiak some praise. We're going to give the Shadow some praise, and we're going to give Chemo praise for a great performance because he was very, very good indeed. And all three of them should be happy with that feedback. So that was something to prove. A pretty good show for us. We already know one of the big matches for the next show. I'm not sure whether it's going to be the main event or not, but it's going to be the Samoan Violence Connection, the current tag team champions, against Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson. We're also, as you will have guessed from the pre-match rant that Sean Stasiak went on, is that he will face CM Punk in a rematch on the next show as well. So those matches are already penned in for that, and I've got a full show in front of me that I will be looking to put together, but we're not going to talk about them just yet. We're going to proceed to the end of another month. Now, I know I spoke a little bit ago about recruitment, and we do need to recruit, but I'm thinking that recruitment might take place now after the Summer Super, the Tag Team Extravaganza, whatever it's called, which in game is only a month away because we've got the next two shows will take place in July, and then it will be the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza. I don't know. I need to kind of think about what will be on the show after the next one, because I'm not actually particularly certain about that right now. But yeah, we need some new blood, I think. We've had a very set roster for the last sort of 6 months. It's been reasonably steady, despite some of the new arrivals we've had and then lost them. So feel like we are in a position now where we need to, yeah, we need to start to think about who else we can bring in. Instead of us going to our next show, though, let's look at the half-year awards, because you can see Wrestler of the Year so far is The Undertaker. We've also got, in terms of company, that's going to be WWF, I'm sure. And Tag Team of the Year is the two dudes with attitudes, Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Match of the Year so far is Bret Hart defeated Ahmed Johnson and Owen Hart at the In Your House in May. Show of the Year so far is the In Your House in April. Young Wrestler of the Year so far, Yumi Fukawa. Veteran Wrestler of the Year so far is Ric Flair. Female Wrestler of the Year so far is Akira Hakotu. Independent Wrestler of the Year is Vader, at least of the half year, I should say. We've got some news. Omega have adopted a friendly attitude towards us. I should hope so. We're the main reason they've actually run a show so far in the game. Have they run another one since? No. So still just that one, thanks to our wrestlers going over there and helping them out. But still. The other thing I wanted to say, though, King of the Ring 1999 happened last night. So let's look at this. And the main event sees The Undertaker defeat Shawn Michaels to retain the World Heavyweight title. Bret Hart wins the King of the Ring in the final, defeating Ahmed Johnson. Bret Hart defeated Owen Hart in the semi-final of that tournament, which is pretty cool. Ahmed Johnson still had to overcome Uncle Zebekiah in like another attempt for Zebekiah to become the King of the Ring. I think he won it last year. And Rey Mysterio Jr.'s new Intercontinental title, defeating Al Snow for that belt. So those are the highlights. Owen Hart beat Brian Pillman in a 99 rated match. You can see that the best wrestlers that WCW had in the past, the young wrestlers who were putting up the really good ratings, Pillman and Rey Mysterio Jr., have been signed by WWF by this point. And there's no wonder WWF are in a good place and WCW are not. Anyway, King of the Ring, decent show indeed for the WWF. Let's just have a look. Have we grown at all? No, we've not. Disappointment, but there we go. One thing I was going to check, and this might be ridiculous, but I was going to check whether or not we have any chance of. No, I don't think there are anybody interested. No, nobody's interested in negotiating with me. Didn't think they would be, but I thought I'd just check just in case there was a rogue a rogue broadcaster that was willing to take on a tiny promotion. At this stage, we made $1,302 last month, and that is despite running 2 shows. We are in a perfectly healthy financial position where we will continue to run 2 shows per month from now on. So let's put in place the next event, shall we? I've no idea what this one's going to be called either. We do get to this point quite often in the game where I just don't have a clue what we're going to call the next show. We know that the show after this will be called RWR 50 because it's the 50th event in our history. So I feel like that deserves some hype towards it. But what should this one be called? I think we're going to go with another name suggested if we can. WrestlePocalypse. Quite like that one. I'm tempted to go with that. Yeah, not seeing much that I can use here. We'll call it Stampede. Not worried about that. That'll do. It's not a great name, but it's not a particularly bad one. We're going Monday week 2, I assume. Yeah, Monday week 2 is when this show is going to take place in July. Special 1 hour 30 minutes. That's the next one. Then we'll have RWR 50. And then we'll have the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza Day 1 and Day 2 in August. So that's what's coming up after that. In terms of titles, well, I would say that the Shadow and Batista have brought the prestige to this bout. Look at the last 3 title defenses. They've all been really good. The Shadow is excellent. I mean, it's quite simple. He is excellent. I don't think that's going to change my mind in terms of what we're doing with him next, but he is excellent. Morale issues aren't too bad either. So let's proceed to the next player-controlled show. Yeah, so we are coming up to the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza, and I think that and what comes after that will be the next big stuff. But I suppose before that we might have some big things as well. I don't know. It's very different. It's very difficult. This is why I'm concerned about planning too far ahead, because if I start to plan ahead, then I kind of start to push stuff back that I'm interested in doing to meet certain events and certain moments. Whereas I think the way we've been booking up to this point has been fruitful. So I'm going to try and stick to that. What that means is that I have no idea what's going to happen at RWR 50, which I kind of need to know because it's a pretty big show, I would suggest, our 50th show. I think there will be a title match at that show, certainly. But what it is, I'm not certain at this point. Some more news here. Jerry Lawler steps down as USWA Booker. Okay, that's interesting. A new position available for somebody where the USWA are the 3rd biggest company in the world as well, or at least in the total fan base, from a total fan base perspective. So that's a pretty big deal, I reckon. Yeah, so we're going to be promoting Stampede next. But for this episode of our series, I think we're done. Thank you for getting this far and watching the episode. And if you have enjoyed it, please give it a like, because that's always really great to see and always helps us reach as many people as possible. Also, if you're going to continue to follow along with the series, give us a subscribe. And yeah, I can just say thank you for continuing to watch. I am recording this about a month before it will go out, so that should give you some indication of how far ahead I am in terms of recording episodes, which should give you a fair bit of confidence and a fair bit of hope that I will continue to go this series for a long time yet. So it's well worth investing in this series and getting involved, because I think it's going to be a stayer, certainly. But yeah, until the next episode, thank you very much for watching.